Meeting of the Amherst Township Trustees called to order. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Abraham?
Here.
Lynch?
Here.
Gehrig?
Yes.
Kish. I have the meeting minutes from the regular meeting of the Amherst Township Trustees from March 9th, 2021. The meeting was called to order at 7:03 p.m. by Chairman Lynch. Pledge to the flag. Roll call. Abraham, Lynch, Gehrig, and Kish were all present. Also in attendance are Cerrone, K. Smarsh, G. Lynch, and R. Bechter. 3-1-21, a motion by Abraham, seconded by Gehrig, to approve the minutes of the February 23rd, 2021 regular meeting as read. All ayes. 3-2-21, a motion by Abraham, seconded by Gehrig, to approve the minutes of the February 23rd, 2021 public hearing as read. All ayes. 3-3-21, a motion by Gehrig, seconded by Abraham, to approve the bills and financial reports with reservations. All ayes. Under correspondence, Fiscal Officer Kish noted packets contain notification from Tom Kelly from Lorain County Emergency Management and Homeland Security regarding Ohio Severe Weather Awareness Week scheduled for March 21st through the 27th, 2021. The statewide siren warning weather radio test will be held on Wednesday, March 24th, 2021 at 9:50 a.m. The county wind system will also be tested that week. We also received ballot language for the levy and approval is needed. There is a copy in your packets. Approval needs to be faxed back after the meeting tonight. Lastly, correspondence from Lorain County Community Development Department regarding their CDBG Community Block Grant for 2021. Information is in your mailboxes. Trustee Lynch received notification from Lorain County Public Health District Advisory Council. They will hold their annual meeting on Wednesday, March 31st, 2021 at 5:30 p.m. at the Reeser Grand Room of the Spitzer Conference Center at LCCC. Under reports for zoning, no permits, a BZA hearing on March 25th, 2021 at 7 p.m. on a variance. Roads, parks, and cemetery, things have been running smoothly. Garage maintenance, keeping up with potholes. The street sweeper was in Hidden Valley today, and Kevin did not have prior notification, which is the usual procedure. He will be checking into it tomorrow. 3-4-21, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Gehrig, authorization to participate in Lorain County Engineers 2021 chip and seal bid. All ayes. 3-5-21, motion by Lynch, seconded by Abraham, authorization of application for financial assistance from Lorain County Stormwater District for Angle Ditch Restoration Phase 4 and flooding abatement. All ayes. Under complaints, they are being handled by the designated individual. Under old business, Linda Ashley will work on NOPEC grant when she returns. NOPEC has changed the option for payment of grant dollars. They now have to be paid directly to the third party who has performed the work versus payment to the township. 3-6-21, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Abraham. Move to enter into executive session at 7:48 p.m. according to ORC sections 121.22G3 to discuss disputes involving the public body that are a subject of pending or imminent court action, and 121.22G8 to negotiate with other political subdivisions respecting requests for economic development assistance. All ayes. 3-7-21, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Abraham, to return from executive session at 9 p.m. All ayes. The next regularly scheduled meeting will be held Tuesday, March 23rd, 2021 at 7 p.m. at the Amherst Township Hall. 3-8-21, a motion by Abraham, seconded by Gehrig, to adjourn at 9:01 p.m. All ayes.
Are there any changes or corrections to the March 9th meeting minutes?
I have one item, one addition on the levy. Should we add road levy, add road to that? It just, in hearing it read, I'm looking which levy. And I know in the record, people look back which levy, and it would be the road levy.
Okay.
So we know which levy that is.
Did you get that, Chris?
Yep.
Yeah, I just caught it now as you were reading it. I was like, whoa. Probably a little clarification there. That's the only correction I have. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as corrected. Second.
Gehrig?
Yes.
Abraham?
Yes.
Lynch?
Yes.
Okay, then you have, obviously you'll be able to see from your financial reports that we received the first half settlement.
Big relief.
So let me see, our revenue. Year-to-date is $577,352.56. And our expenditures to date are $222,144.18. I just did look at our bank account, and our rollback was also just received, so that will be getting put in. That was $46,061.59. And also I have a very large deposit, well, I have a larger deposit of $20,000 with gas in there and MVR and a bunch of different things that will be going in. You have the credit card purchases for February that are in there, nothing out of the ordinary. And payment listing, there was nothing out of the ordinary.
Just have one question, Chris.
Sure.
The Kathleen Hopkins and Associates,
Yes,
who were they?
that was for a deposition that she had
Oh.
to take.
Oh, that's still the same one. I thought that was all paid off, but
This
okay.
was one that was just done with Dunphy.
Oh, that's the other one. Okay, I
This is
was
a
thinking
brand new
of the
one.
BZA hearing. Yes, this is
No.
the one that Remy would have been at for the depot.
Right.
Okay.
That is all I have.
What did we get from Technology Systems?
That was everything we needed for the public hearing.
For the public hearing, that was all public hearing?
And the
Okay.
check, I printed a warrant for him, so it is in there. I wasn't sure if he was going to be here tonight or not.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't contact him, so I would just send it through normal. It's just, when it came in before the last
Right.
meeting, but it was too late because you did everything on the weekend.
Right.
He was copied on that, so he knew he'd have to wait till this meeting for approval. Are there any other questions on the
If
bills
you,
or financial reports?
just in case you notice, there are two first impression mats that are on there. The reason being for that is we received a payment, their December payment came back, and I just got it on March 10th. So I contacted them, thinking it was the wrong address, but they go to Florida and forward their mail. And so somewhere that December's got lost, so I was making up a payment. It was
Gotcha.
refunded, and it went right back out.
Are we doing the bills or the credit card first?
The bills first. Okay, I'll make a motion to pay the bills and approve the financial reports with reservation.
Second.
Lynch,
Yes.
Euring,
Yes.
Abraham.
Yes.
And then I'll make a motion that the credit card account transaction detail has been reviewed per policy and the card statement is accepted as presented, subject to investigation.
I'll second that.
Lynch,
Yes.
Abraham,
Yes.
Euring.
Yes.
Okay, and Chris, did you want to cover the permanent annual appropriation, or did you want me to take care of that?
You can take care of it.
Okay, also under financials, you have in your packet the permanent annual appropriation measure for 2021. It's pretty much the same as what you would have seen for the temporary, other than the Public Works Commission for the road projects. And at this point, it's, you'll see it's penciled in on yours, but Chris has a clean copy of $115,690 for Public Works. That is under the assumption that we had both the Dewey Road project and the Hidden Valley Road project approved. Currently, the Hidden Valley project is on the unfunded list, but as we've seen in the past, sometimes after bids come in, if bids come in that are better than the original engineer's estimate, or some other community finds a reason they have to delay a project, those on the unfunded list get moved up. So we've just got it on there to be prepared if that's the case. So the total appropriation for 2021 is $1,465,223.60.
I will second that resolution.
Okay. And this is all pre-prepared here, so.
Ready?
Yes,
Lynch?
yes.
Abraham?
Yes.
Gray?
Yes.
What's the number
That
on
is
that?
312.
All right, anything else, Chris?
Not financially, no.
Okay, at this point, I'd like to welcome everyone in attendance. If anyone has anything to bring before the board, please raise their hand. Yeah, just raise your hand. Oh, you didn't want to? You just want to? Okay, we do have Lydia Ganopsic here. Lydia lives down in the valley. I'm not sure of the exact address. I know where her house is. And she's a regular dog walker down there. But you have at your place, I believe Lydia indicated she received this multi-page document in her water bill. And she had some questions on this. And Linda, I can handle the part that I know of, but you're actually listed here, you and Christine Winrod, as the plaintiffs that brought the class action suit on regards to the increase in the sewer and water rates in the city of Lorraine. So do you want to attempt to explain this settlement, or do you want me to take it?
You can start it now.
Well, I'll start and
I'll
you
fill in the
correct.
gaps.
Okay. Lydia, there was the Lorraine County Board of Commissioners, and this would have been the previous board, had a proposed settlement agreement, well, actually a proposed sewer agreement with the city of Lorraine that they had presented to the Amherst Township Board of Trustees. This will also be going to the New Russia Township Board of Trustees. And the way it was explained to the township was the county Board of Commissioners is taking over responsibility for all sanitary sewers in some of the water areas that if the water service was provided by the city of Lorraine. I do have, and it's also, you can see it on the City of Lorraine's website, which is referenced in the settlement agreement. I hope they have the actual diagrams up there that show the service areas, but for the sewer service agreement and water agreement, some of those areas are actually, the water is provided by rural Lorraine County Water. In some other areas, the water is provided by the city of Amherst. So the water gets tricky when it's in there, but essentially, any area that previously Lorraine might have serviced, now the county will service for both the water and sewer. The sewers that the city of Lorraine currently owns will become the ownership of the Lorraine County Board of Commissioners. Lorraine County Board of Commissioners has agreed to pay off all the debt that the city still carries on some of those sanitary sewers. The debt's predominantly on the newer sewers that would have been put in place. And the biggest thing that the residents of Amherst Township received out of this is that this sewer service agreement, predominantly for sewers but also for water, now puts a cap on the maximum rate that the city of Lorraine could charge residents living outside Lorraine, and predominantly Amherst Township residents. That cap is now at, I believe it's 100, was it 130 or 100? It's mentioned in your agreement too, but it's
125 now.
125% in the 5th year once this agreement is in effect. It doesn't become effective till all parties have signed it. I do not know if New Russia Township trustees have signed it yet. New Russia Township, they currently don't have any sewers or water provided by the city of Lorraine, but it's in what they call for sewers, Lorraine's facility planning area. So if sewers were provided there, most likely they would be provided by the city of Lorraine or by some agreement with some other entity with the city of Lorraine, short of getting that facility planning area changed. So the big benefit for the township residents was getting that cap, since the current agreement the county has with the city of Lorraine for treatment only, there is no limit. And this obviously came to light in Hidden Valley when they went up to 200%. For those that are outside Hidden Valley, like myself, I'm on one of these sewers, we pay 150% of what an in-city resident would pay, so 1.5 times that rate. So our rate will drop down to 125%. We will still pay for those which, this is where you pay a separate operation maintenance and repair and OMR fee to Lorraine. Realize those that are on current county-owned sewers like I am, we pay the same, an OMR fee to the county. We pay it directly to the county sanitary engineer. And we pay it every other month. Currently, it's about, it's under $45 every other month. Ours will be going up a little bit where I live, but our overall sewer bill is going to go down. The average right now for the rest of the county on county-owned sewers is $25.72 a month. The reason Amherst Township residents were a little bit lower is because the county was responsible for all the pipes, but the city of Lorraine was responsible for the pump stations. Well, now the county's going to be responsible for everything, so our OM&R fee for Amherst Township residents on county-owned sewers will be the same as other county sewer customers. So essentially, all your infrastructure is now going to be owned by the county. The county will be responsible for the maintenance of that. A side benefit is, in talking with Bob Kleiber at the county engineer's office, is that they feel they'll be more inclined to take care of residents' concerns, since obviously you now vote for county commissioners and county engineer, versus when you had to call the city of Lorraine for service because you don't vote for anybody over in the city of Lorraine, which was always an issue with them having control over this. So those are the main things, and then so it's not a hit all at once for some. It just kind of phases in. That's 105% the first year after the effective date, 110 the next, 115 it goes up in 5% increments. So the biggest benefits are you get a maximum you can be charged, so you're not at the whims and withers of whoever happens to be in elected office in the city of Lorraine at the time. You also, the people that are now responsible for it are people that you elect and you vote for, albeit they're voted county-wide, and the vast majority of the county is not on county-owned sewers or water systems. Now, in the Hidden Valley specific, that's where, as this contract was back and forth, originally it was the trustees' understanding they were going to keep Hidden Valley out of it because they were in litigation, but then the City of Lorraine Legal Department wanted them included because they thought they were coming close to an agreement and that they can work anything separate for Hidden Valley, you know, that would kind of be separate from this agreement as far as where their compensation is. And as I only was able to skim through this document you provided here. I didn't get through everything. I realize this is the first time I'm actually seeing that document. It appears that the City of Lorraine is putting up the funds to pay for the legal counsel that represented the class of Hidden Valley in this legal fight. So there'll be no more money expected from the residents to pay for that. And as far as is your OMR fee, Linda, this is where I'll need your help. Does your start effective on the date of this agreement?
Ours will start, yes, in May.
Okay, and will it be the same as all the other county,
It will be, it's $25 and whatever. cents,
$25.72?
But we're only paying 25%, or we're paying 105%. How is it? Let me see here. 25% of the maintenance fee for the first year, 50% the second, 75 the third, 100 the fourth.
So that's
So
where the
it's a 4-year
2.4
increment.
million savings comes in for Hidden Valley, so you're paying actually less than, say,
We're
what
paying-
my bill would be,
Yes, we're paying less for 4 years.
or Remy's bill,
Right. And that's to recoup our monies that we had.
that you've
Yeah,
already
that's seven-
paid for being
Each
over.
household put in like $750 some dollars in those OM&R fees that they were charging us over and above. So in order for us to get paid back, that's one of the ways that they're paying back, and the other way is giving us a reduced sewer rate from the city for 5 years.
Okay,
So the county rate is reduced for 4 years, the city rate is gonna be in 5 years. So that's where we start at the 105% of in-city, 110, 115, 120, and then cap at 125%,
okay, and then I
if that
saw,
makes sense.
there's also in here, it says the time and place of the fairness hearing. Can you explain that?
Yes, we have to go before the judge, and everybody has to be there, both sides. And he'll go over the agreement and make sure that it's a fair agreement and that everybody's in agreement with it. At that time, if anybody is in opposition, they're allowed to come in and say their piece. So any neighbors that are affected can come in and say, we don't agree with this, whatever. And that's basically what it is. And then once he signs off, then it's set.
Okay, and short of some major emergency, that date of May 21st at 10 o'clock a.m. for this fairness hearing at the Justice Center in courtroom number 711, that's pretty much fixed.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. And that's a Friday.
Okay, so Lydia, the best thing would be if you wanted to actually see that agreement, the specifics. So, I mean, we've just gone over it pretty quick here of what it is to go to the link that's mentioned in this document that you received. It's at the very top of page 2, on the top left-hand corner. And then I would recommend putting on your calendar the date and time of that fairness hearing. But I appreciate you bringing this in, because I think, now David might have had a copy because David lives down in the valley, but Denny and I do not, so we wouldn't have seen it.
Should have came in with the bill.
It did. It went out for all the
Bill.
Hidden Valley
Yeah,
residents that
yeah.
are affected, and the ones on Middle Ridge and the ones on Overland Road that are affected. This went out with them. This is the way that they were notifying everybody.
But did they must have gone in a separately for like on Middle Ridge, because they have, I think, Amherst water in the
This is
county sewer.
Yeah, this is sewer. Anybody that has Lorraine sewer that was billed the same way that Hidden Valley was billed,
Okay,
those are the ones. And obviously, they know, the city of Lorraine knows who those people are. And you know what, Lydia, too, if you have any questions, feel free to call Matt Dooley. That's the attorney. He will speak to you. Audrey lives right there on Hidden Tree. She's the paralegal. So she's affected by this too, but Audrey or Matt will explain anything that you have.
Okay, I just wasn't sure on page 2, like the third dot down where it was going in increments. And they were talking about benefits, and it didn't sound like a benefit because it was increasing. But I guess because there's a cap, then that is the benefit?
We're paying 150% right now,
Okay,
so it will
so
be
it is
decreasing.
a benefit decreasing.
Right, for 5 years. It'll start at 105%
Mm-hmm,
and go up to 125. And like I said, right now, we're paying 150,
mm-hmm,
and the the mayor of Lorraine is talking about increasing those outside city rates.
Okay, yeah, this is mainly why I came. I wanted that clarified because I just didn't understand how it could have been a benefit, but now I see.
And then as Neil pointed out down here in the 1, 2, 3, 4 dot,
Uh-huh,
the $21,670 that's going to the lawyers, that is for filing fees, all the fees that they have to take care of.
Right.
They paid out of pocket. The $371,000 total is basically attorney fees.
mhm,
They've agreed to accept that amount. It's a reduced amount, of course, because we owe them way more than that.
mhm,
They've decided to accept that.
yeah,
So they're getting a reduced payment, but it is a class action suit, so
mhm.
none of us have to pay anything for it.
Okay, that's
So
good.
it just pays our attorneys.
What about those who put money in, Linda?
I'm sorry?
People who put money in for the attorney?
It,
Will that money be coming back or
no, no, it's just, there was no way, well, I won't say no way. The easiest way for them to make sure that we got that money back, that $700 back, was just to go according to homeowners' addresses. So that's why we're getting the reduction. Otherwise, they would have to go back and say, Mr. Smith lived there a year, Mr. Jones lived there 2 years in the same address, whatever. So they didn't want to, Lorraine didn't want to have to go through all that, trying to backtrack for the last, well, from 2012 through 17, who lived in what house and how much did everybody pay?
It'd be difficult too, because then you'd be paying estates of some. I know one particular individual that I know paid and was willing to pay more that since passed on.
There's quite a few of them, yes, the
No,
same thing.
what I'm saying is, there was several individuals at the outset who contributed something.
Correct.
It was like
yeah.
$100 or something for the
Right.
attorney. Will some of those fees be coming back, attorney
Those
fees?
won't, no, that will not be coming back.
Okay.
There's no way, because with the class action suit, that they will be able to do that. Because you're all similarly situated, so we're all have to get the same back.
Yeah, plus it'd be difficult because there were people that weren't in Hidden Valley that contributed, looking at this overall, knowing that if this affected Hidden Valley, it can affect the other areas such as the sewer I'm on. You know, when we saw our fees, we were originally at 125%, they incremented up to 130, then they were at 150.
Right.
And because the first time I saw mine go up, I contacted the prosecutor to say, hey, what's going on? I only have a draft agreement of your original sewer agreement from way back when they had the detention basin sewer to nowhere settled. The draft had a cap in it. Final agreement did not. And supposedly that was an oversight.
Well, and that's why we have to go before the judge on the 21st and go over everything. We're going to go over, make sure every I's dotted, T's are crossed, and make sure that it's agreeable to everybody.
So if everybody agrees on that, then the cap on the fees is basically the only benefit that we're getting. And I don't mean only in a negative way, but that's going to be the settlement of this action suit, right? That's the like the benefit.
We're going to have a cap,
Mm-hmm,
and it's going to be a cap for 25 years. Well, it'll be 20 additional years after we get to the cap.
mm-hmm.
It's also giving us a voice, because we can go to the commissioners and complain about the rates, and we can vote in somebody else.
Right, well, that
We
way
don't have Lorraine.
our voices will be heard more than before with Lorraine, who did not
Right.
want to hear anything that we had to say. It was pretty ugly at first and dragged out
And
and
Lorraine
on.
doesn't like to come out to fix our water mains at all, or in our sewers.
Right,
The county said they will. We'll see.
mm-hmm, okay. All right, well, thank you.
Okay? So again, I just marked that date down, Lydia, and, it's always, sometimes if you got the time, it's nice to go in and see how it works also in the justice system. Okay?
Oh, I don't know if I want to go to the courthouse.
I'm going. If you need a ride, you can ride with me.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? All right, we'll move on. Correspondence, Chris?
We did receive final verbiage from the Board of Elections for the road levy on the upcoming ballot, so I shared that with you earlier. Also, we received, and I know all of you received as well, a certified letter from First Energy regarding application to the Ohio Power Sitting Board for a certificate of environmental compatibility and public need for a Beaver Wellington 138 kV transmission line project. Everybody at the county seemed to have gotten them as well, and I got one here, and I guess all of you got one as well.
We did, and Linda had sent out an email when the certified mail came in, and Linda, I'm going to end up giving you my copy. Most of the information's on the DVDs. They have 2 DVDs in there. From what I could see, most of this is west of us, west of our township. It definitely impacts Brownhelm Township and obviously down in Wellington. Those are going, in Brownhelm Township will be the extension, Wellington will be the substation addition. There are going to be some transmission lines replaced along the way though, and that does come through our area. But they show some alternative routes, which I don't understand why they would go with an alternative route when they've already got easements in place. But you might get calls on this, as they start seeing people around, so it'd be best to take a look at it. The old days, they used to give us nice big maps and paper. I can tell you with knowing you don't have a real large monitor, mine's only, I think, 17 or 19 inches at home. Even with that, it was tough because you got to keep moving the map all over the place to see where these transmission lines are. So before you leave, I want to give you my packet, but the summary document they sent with it doesn't give you a lot of detail. Kevin, if you're interested in seeing it, once Linda has it, so you know where it's at on the west side of the township there, and where the potential is if there's some major change comes up on one of their alternate routes.
Do we have a date?
The date of when they're doing it?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know that they gave a specific date.
This is for a certificate of environmental compatibility and public need. And it states that if you have, I guess you say an objection.
Yeah, I think the best thing is,
I'll look
Linda,
at
to
it.
look at this,
To
because
contact
you're
them
not going to
within 30
receive,
days.
David, you're not going to
Intervene.
receive any calls from anybody until they actually see people in yellow vests out there.
Well, that's why I was wondering what
Yeah,
kind of date.
so that way you'll know what it is, and you'll have it with you, and you can copy this,
Okay. Yep.
okay, on your computer. And David, if you look through your DVDs, because I think you've had this for 2 weeks, then
Yeah.
you can actually get up to speed as to exactly where this is.
Yeah.
Was there anything else there, Chris?
No, the last piece of correspondence I had, I handed to you.
Right, one of them, Chris gave us was just the mileage certification for the roads, and Kevin, nothing changed yet, so the trustees are signing that. David will sign it before it's done. And then, Chris, we keep 1 copy, and then 2 copies will go back to the county engineer. David, do you have any correspondence or
No,
announcements?
that was gonna be my piece of correspondence was,
Okay, Denny?
No, I do not.
All right, there is one more here. And this was discussed at the Lorraine County Township Association meeting just this past Thursday. This is from Bob Kleiber, Lorraine County Engineer's Office. And what they're talking about here is the various townships that have standards for their pavement standards for residential streets. Here it mentions that new subdivisions is currently at 12 inches of ODOT 206 cement stabilization for the subgrade. Ours is actually 6. We have that 726 for residential streets, so we don't use a 12-inch. But what Bob Kleiber indicates is that various developers are questioning this because the surrounding municipalities and townships and the surrounding counties don't have this standard. They do agree you have to do a proof roll to determine if the soil stabilization is required. And so he's leaving it the option up to the township if you want to change those standards or not. Bob and I had a long conversation on this. He really wasn't pressing one way or the other, but I can tell in the discussion, I think Bob would agree, hey, you do that proof roll with the right soils and the right time of year, you really don't need to do the soil stabilization. But many times if the soils are such that they require it, or you're doing work in the springtime or in the wet area just before winter time, many times the developer will just do it because they know they're not going to pass the proof roll. Realize the proof roll, which we also specify in our standard, is taking a vehicle of such and such weight and running it down the soil and seeing if there's any deflection. And if there is, then you've got to do the soil stabilization. And for many developers, time is money, so if they already know it's going to deflect, they're doing the soil stabilization, they're not messing with it. But if they know they've done their core samples and they know what the soil is, or if it's in the middle of summer, that, July, August time frame, they know it's not going to deflect, they will do a proof roll test first. So the question is just if the townships are willing to change their standard, they'd have to pass legislation, then it would go before the Board of Commissioners. The Board of Commissioners would have to agree. I did tell Bob that, I'm somewhat reluctant to change standards and concerned with changing standards, and certainly not without more information as to what's going on here. And that was the same thing that was discussed at the Lorraine County Township Association meeting. Some of the townships, let me say, I know one township, I think it was more of that antagonistic approach you get with developers many times, that the heck with them, all we're doing is saving them money, so I'm going to require soil stabilization regardless. But then a trustee who used to work for the county engineer explained in some soils you just can't, and it'll be a detriment. And then the question comes up, say like the quarry property, you got sandstone right at the surface. How do you put soil stabilization, without grinding up the sandstone first? So, it does lead to the question as, well, when do you apply the standard and when don't you? So I want to leave it up to Dave and Denny, but I had recommended that the Township Association perhaps get individuals from either ODOT, the County Engineers Association, if they wanted someone for whatever reason, they didn't want someone from our own county engineers organization, but I certainly think they'd be more available. Or we've got 2 local universities that produce all sorts of civil engineers, where every professional engineer has to go through their civil engineering program just to go and take the PE. I'm sure there's all sorts of professors that would like to come out to discuss this as to when do you apply it, when don't you apply it, and if we do any change there. But I'd really prefer that we have some experts so that we can make a knowledgeable and informed decision versus just by the seat of our pants as to what to do. So I don't know how David and Denny feel about this memo, which I know you're just seeing for the first time. And David, I don't know if were you there through the whole presentation at the meeting?
I was at the meeting.
Okay, well, I know you had to leave early, so I wasn't sure if you were there for this whole presentation.
I know it was brought up and discussed. Without having our specifications right in front of me,
It's
I can't-
the 726 is what we use.
We
so-
talked about a sub-base, having a sub-base under the roads, and the primary concern about that is with drainage, that water gets trapped under roads, particularly concrete, and then it heaves, and then it breaks up the road. So the thought was, particularly after the experience with Hidden Valley, was to make sure that when you put roads in, there's some kind of a base
And
underneath
that's a
to
separate
drain.
issue.
Now, as far as soil stabilization, it's a case by case, if you've got bad soil, and I'm thinking in all the years here, as far as our existing roads, the only time I can recall having to use some form of soil stabilization was at the end of Oberlin Road, just south of Middle Ridge. Ran into some very loose sand. I think John Sefcik called it bank sand, and there had to be some kind of stabilization put down, some kind of matting put down, because it kept shifting, and you fix the road and then shift again, and then the road would start to get wavy, and there was no stability there. Something had to be put in to stabilize the soil. That's the only time I can recall ever having to use soil stabilization or a stabilizing force under the road.
Yeah, this isn't dealing with the drainage. They're two separate items. You're right in that in our standard, we put in that curb drains are required now. They weren't in the past. And recall that when we went through the larger loans to correct some sections in Hidden Valley, is that not only did we go with the longer length of pavement, we extended the drainage where there was no drainage in the past, so that we could take that water away from the road and direct it elsewhere versus letting it settle under the road. So yeah, this doesn't change any of your drainage standard. This is strictly the sub-base soil stabilization. So that would be for us the 6 inches that we call out, because the way we have the standard written, it applies regardless. So that's the question, are the townships willing to make a change? Because we would have to pass a resolution to do that, then the Board of Commissioners has to pass a resolution to do that, so that the county engineer and the subdivision review document has the right information in it. But again, I'm not willing to do that just based on a conversation over the phone. And as I told Bob, it's also not a unilateral decision, it's this board's decision. We definitely want our road superintendent involved. Obviously, Kevin, you've been involved in a lot of road pavement projects, both prior to, working with the township, but also outside the township. I know for our township, it's probably more timely because we've got one development that's imminent, that being the Hampshire Farms off of Oberlin Road, just north of K Drive. The larger development, the sandstone development, I think that's still some time before we see that. But, I don't know if, I would really prefer that we take this before the association so that everybody's hearing it versus every township for themselves. Plus, I think it's going to be easier to get people in there, knowledgeable people, about this and have a discussion. But I will encourage the association to do that. That's all I can do is encourage them. But as I said, I know one township was vehemently opposed to this. They might have changed, though, once they started learning about, well, wait a minute, you can't just blindly apply the standard. Plus, they had both the current county administrator there, who was an engineer, and myself, who was an engineer, talking about how we apply standards and when, and that we don't just blindly put them in there. You sometimes will set the standard, but you will say when that standard is applicable. And when the standard may have some sort of deviation from the standard. And that's what we don't have now. So it's, just be aware this will be coming up. But I don't know if time-wise, if the Hampshire Farms, if they're even interested in this, if timing comes up and they have to move, they're pretty much have to put in soil stabilization. I don't see where we would get an answer before they start their pavement. And Lydia, for your information, they had planned on beginning this a year ago, but they've been waiting on the sewer service agreement, okay, between the county and the city of Lorraine. So just be aware of that. You've got the letter there that came out. And that is all I have on correspondence. So we'll move on to reports, and I'm going to change the order here just to make it easier for our fire prevention officer is here, so he isn't stuck here for the other reports. Chris, did you have anything to bring up here?
We have a few new, or one new business that's going to expand in the township. Looking to expand in the township. We are working with the Lorraine County Rural Water Administration, trying to make it better for the business owner to try to get water supply out to their business. He, I believe, is waiting to come to the zoning board until that's worked out. So we're working with rural water on trying to make that happen. There is a few new businesses that have taken up in some of the existing buildings in the township. We have been going through and inspecting them and letting them know that they need to contact the building official to get their certificate of occupancy.
Okay,
I
good.
believe they're both doing that, and I believe they've talked to Remy about that, or made contact with Remy to make that happen as well, so.
Okay, good.
And we're still moving through the businesses in the township to get everybody up to where they need to be, so that's still happening.
I appreciate that.
Do you have any idea how far you are along in the process, Chris? Or?
Out of 155 businesses, we're probably 30 to 35. Some take more time than others. Some of the newer buildings, it takes a lot of time to work through with the building owner, the rural water, and what the township requires. So a lot of that we're trying to take care of before it comes to the zoning board, so everything is all ironed out. And when it comes here, everything is a smooth process as far as the fire end of that goes for us. So some of the other ones, they've been businesses that have been closed, and we have new businesses taking occupancy there. And they were advised to get a hold of the building official to update their certificate of occupancy. If they did not have one, I believe they talked to Remy to see if there was one on file here. So we're moving through the process. It takes a long time. It
Yeah, I
takes
know
time to
Remy
get through it, so.
Remy did find some that the businesses didn't have.
Oh, good, good. That'll save them a lot of trouble,
Yeah.
so, okay.
Other questions for Fire Prevention Officer Nyhart?
Nope, I have none.
All right, thanks, Chris.
All right, thank you.
Okay, we'll go to ambulance. Denny?
Nothing under ambulance.
Okay, zoning?
Except-
Whoop.
We will be having a meeting, our one meeting, for this year sometime in June or July.
Okay, zoning, Remy?
I had 9 new permits for the month. Still stands at 1 new house for the year. Mostly couple accessory buildings, some fences, a pool, just general stuff. Zoning Board of Appeals is going to be meeting for a variance. I can't remember the date.
This Thursday.
Thursday. Yeah.
Remy, where was the house at?
The house was that was last month. That was on 113, I believe.
113?
Yeah,
They're going to town on that one.
yeah.
There'll be one shortly after that, probably just to the west of that.
Yes.
Any questions for Remy? Any other questions? Okay, roads, parks, and cemeteries, Superintendent Smart.
We've been on potholes topsoiling, grass seeding, some of the roughed up areas over the winter time. Been on ditch cleaning. Dumpster days is all set, and we're ready to go with that. Got everything ordered for that. Maintenance is up to par with everything. We're getting everything ready to rock and roll for the upcoming nice weather here. Park, got a little bit of backfilling to yet do around those two little pads. We threw some more grass seed down around the new pavilion, but the backfill around the two pads that are have the picnic tables on, we're gonna hopefully get to that tomorrow. We had a little mishap with the salt shed, the back wall, as in the tarp, the canopy, that had blown out, torn, but we got that into a good position now, but I'm gonna need to give the canopy people a call and maybe do some pricing just on the back wall, which is separate than the canopy itself. But still, it's
You
quite
mean
an operation.
concrete base or the structure up above?
The canopy of
Canvas.
the wall, the actual wall canopy. You got the arch
Right.
canopy, and then the back wall above the cement is just a canopy,
Right.
tarp wall.
Okay.
The seams tore on it, but we got it stabled up now. Definitely bought us some time, but I'm gonna have to look into getting that replaced.
Okay.
Other than that, everything seems to be running up to par.
Are there any questions for Kevin?
No, I talked to Kevin today, and I have no questions of him.
Okay, well, we do have two resolutions in here that deal with roads. The first one is the authorization for participation in the ODOT winter salt contract, which is 018-22, as authorized by Ohio Revised Code Section 5513.01B. And this will be the salt for the, it seems odd talking about it now, but for the 2021-2022 season, since we know there'll still be some salting this year, but this just gives ODOT the opportunity to get all the jurisdictions' requirements together for when they go out for bid. I did send information to Kevin earlier, either last week or the week before on this, and he is increasing the amount. From last year, we asked for 300 tons. This year, he's asking for 400 tons. Realize, and typically, we were using 500 tons in the past, so that can vary based on weather conditions and the metering of the salt. So Kevin has asked for 400 tons this time. I'm not going to read through all the details here. You've got the prepared resolution in front of you, and you had it emailed to you. David, before you leave tonight, there is a contract that's attached to this that you need to sign and date.
We already signed it, didn't we?
Oh, did you? Okay, good. Then, Linda, I put in your packet, if you've got to upload the certified copy, which Chris can send you a scanned copy tonight. I think you've done this before, haven't you? Okay. So the link's on here, but you'll get in there and put in our amount and along with the contract and the certified copy to upload those, and we'll be good to go. But in any case, I'm going to make the motion authorizing participation in the ODOT winter salt contract 018-22 as authorized by Ohio Revised Code Section 5513.01B as prepared.
I'll second that motion.
Okay.
Lynch,
Yes.
Abraham,
Yes,
Euring,
Yes.
And the number on that, Chris?
313,
what was it again?
31321.
Okay, and the second item is the authorization to bid the South Dewey Road TR 105 resurfacing project from Middle Ridge Road to Ackerman Road, which is just at the City of Amherst Southern Corporation line. That'll be approximately 3,380 feet with an area of 7,647 yards. And Linda, I am going to ask that, once this is approved, that you send this to the Chronicle to be published in their legal section, but Sean DePaula from the engineer's office requested that it not be sent in prior to April 1st, because he needs time to get the bid package together. So you'll see, though officially it's by order of the Chris Kiss, the fiscal officer, I put a date of April 5th, so if that can be our target to try and get it in. But as long as it's, you know, no sooner than that, and it can even be a few days after that, because we're looking to schedule the bid opening on this. Let's see, that would be on May 25th, which would be one of the trustees' meetings, so that'll give them plenty of time to get the bids in. And we actually won't be able to begin this till after we receive the information from ODOT, which probably won't be until after July 1st. But at least if we have the bids in place, we'll know who the contractor is and be ready to go. So, and again, I'm not going to read through the details of this, but I'll make a motion authorizing to bid the South Dewey Road TR 105 resurfacing project from Middle Ridge Road to Ackerman Road. And all the rest is prepared in front of you.
Second.
Lynch,
Yes.
Euring,
Yes.
Abraham.
Yes.
That's 314.
Yes.
Okay, Senior Services, Township Administrator Ashley.
I have nothing. It's been quiet.
Okay. Well, it's quiet, but Linda's already discussed some of the NOPEC grants with me, just so the others are aware. Are we set as far as the LED conversion? Did it end up just being the garage portion?
Correct.
So our next one will be most likely the rest of the township hall, depending upon the amount of funding.
Right. And it's all approved on NOPEC's end. We're just waiting for Butchco to get it done and then invoice, and then we can send it off for disbursement.
Okay.
Are they working on it now?
No,
No, they're not. Okay, thank you.
it's on the rolls, just in waiting for material.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
And Linda's still working on the community event grant. That's a $1,500 grant there from NOPEC based, and you know, that's really the minimum because we're such a small community versus some of their members. But they've changed some of the grant requirements, which Chris had alluded to that in the minutes from our last meeting. So Linda's trying to work this out to make this easy, but again, it gets frustrating when they have these small grant amounts, and as time moves on, they keep adding, and you know, they never seem to take something away to make it easier. They always add a requirement, and I hope this doesn't get to the same position as we had when we used to have the senior services, where it just wasn't worth the grant. The administrative cost was more than the grant amount you'd receive, so we ended up, it wasn't even worth applying for.
And
But
they're not
Linda
giving
is
it to the-
following up on this.
They're not giving it to the township anymore. They will not pay us for any of our work. We have to have a third party. So whoever, we can't use $1,500 for dumpster days unless we hire it out, basically, so.
Yeah,
But I will talk to her tomorrow, and then I'll send you guys an email, let you know what she says,
yes.
whatever kind of workaround we can do.
Well, I think what we proposed, it sure seems reasonable to me, but the cost is more than 1,500, so then it gets cumbersome because you have to have, do we have the contractor, bill us part and $1,500 a NOPEC, I mean, just the administration of this starts getting a little quirky. It's like,
Plus we
why
have
don't
to
you
see
just
what the
leave the
deadlines
program the
are.
way it was?
Yeah, and we have deadlines to meet, so.
Right. Yeah, June 30th. It'll come up fast. Okay, I'll move on. Lorco, I really have no report there. Obviously, at this time, there's nothing that impacts our township.
Neil, just out of curiosity, do you know how many users are in that system now, or in Lorco's system?
It's over 1,200, David, for the phase one. Realize there's,
Different phases?
yeah, there's different areas, so there'll be additional customers that are serviced by Grafton Village. And we've got over 500 in Cinnamon Lakes. But on
Yeah.
phase one,
Which was the trunk, which,
that's the main one that
Big
is
Ted.
serviced by the city of Lorraine, that's, services Eaton Township, Carlisle Township, and now part of Columbia
City of
Township
Avon
is the
Lake,
one
yeah.
that most people tend to ask about.
yeah, then you have about 1,200, you said about.
Yeah, I can get you the exact amount if you want, but, it's
Is it
over 1,200.
Just a ballpark figure.
Yeah, it's over 1,200. Okay. And a lot of interest. That's all I can tell you. It's like, I don't understand the huge housing boom going on. Really don't, but it's nice to see, because if you remember that last recession, we had so many homes in foreclosure here in our township. It was just ridiculous. And okay, we'll move on to the stormwater. I can tell you our stormwater grant is in. After our last meeting, March 9th, I emailed that off to Pete Zawick of the county engineer's office, Don Romankak, the head of the Lorraine County Stormwater District, and Jennifer Hozlowski, who also handles these. So all three of those received our grant on March 9th. Asked them if you need anything else, let me know. Haven't heard back on that. So our grant is in for our request, which will be the phase 4 of the Engel Ditch. And that'll finish up the Engel Ditch. We're going to have to start pressing the district, and I think it'll help now that for Don Romankak, that's his sole responsibility now is stormwater. So I think that'll be very helpful now versus him getting pulled in multiple different directions. And to see if we can get help in terms of the Batten House ditch now, which then comes and joins in with the Engel, because the Batten House is going to be a lot more work. There's a lot more residents along there that are going to have to be contacted in terms of the granting of the easements so that the equipment can get back there and maintain the ditches so that we get the proper drainage. It has been nice. It's been dry now for this part of the spring, but Kevin, you saw these earlier parts. We didn't have any of the flooding over, even though we had pretty consistent rain and the ground got saturated.
Yeah.
I know my sump pump ran real regular, and I always look out at Overland Road when I see it flooding, on the side, we're starting to get close, and that's usually when we'd have the flooding over the road down here, but it didn't flood this time. So there's definitely improvement, but we still got a long way to go on this. But hopefully we get approved. I'm pretty confident we will, since I know Pete Zawick wants to bid the phase 3 and the phase 4 as a single project to get the economies of scale. There was also an announcement at the Lorraine County Township Association. I know I had mentioned before the correspondence I had with Jennifer Hozlowski, there will be a mini grant program this year, but what's new is Don said they're going to increase that to $25,000. I did, Kevin, I believe you sent that email on the quote for some of the catch basin replacements. Did that go to all the trustees?
Yes.
Okay, I gave them a copy of this for the three. I wasn't sure if there were additional ones. I know it always seems some come up later in the year, and we pay 100%. And I know this one gives the words, once they get in there, since they're talking about putting in some of the precast, they may find out the road's undermined, and, you know, that's gonna drive up the cost, and they can't estimate that right now.
Yeah, he took a pretty good look at it. I guess I was just going on previous years with the 5,000, with kind of keeping it tight there with getting an estimate
Okay.
for the mini.
Well, we'll have to see. They haven't, Don Romankek indicated that they'll probably be sending out the applications and explaining the process after they receive all the requests for the larger round from the Stormwater District. So I was hoping, since he was the featured speaker at the Township Association, I was expecting to receive the copies and the release for the mini grants, but that wasn't the case. He said that would follow, but he did tip us off. They will increase the amount to $25,000. Realized before it was 10,000, so it's more than double. You know, 2.5 times. We'll just have to see where it goes. But we should just have this just in case. Maybe we'll put in higher, but we've got to identify which ones those are. We might be able to use the average that's on here, you know, for another one, and then if it's more than that, we'll just have to, you know, pay for the difference. But I think I'd much rather do that than as we've done in the past. You guys are either repairing them yourselves or we're paying 100% for an outside contractor.
Sure.
Okay. But we'll work on that as we get closer to it and receive the details as far as the grant application. All right, as far as complaints, I don't think you have any new ones, do you, Remy?
No, not really.
Okay, and I did pass on to Remy, and I don't know if individuals watch this, but I did receive a phone call, actually yesterday, from a very irate resident complaining about barking dogs, loose dogs, commercial vehicles parked in a residential area, and the yard maintenance, and children urinating in the yard. And it was a very long message. I'm surprised it didn't time out my message machine. He did leave the address, and it was a he's voice, left the address of the property he was complaining about, but he did not leave a phone number, did not leave the name. He did say that other individuals in the neighborhood are upset but afraid to complain. I don't know why that is, and said that the township appears that they've decided not to do anything about these complaints. And since I didn't have his name or phone number, I do have caller ID, I checked that, but it was blocked and private, so I couldn't get back to him. And I'd just like to encourage residents, when you have a complaint, please step up, give your name and a phone number so we can get back to you. So hopefully this individual's watching this. But there's several different areas here of who's responsible and what can be done. As far as the property maintenance, Remy has been out there multiple times, and I've told him about this one again, even though I've got is someone called on the phone. I can't tell you if they're even a township resident. But Remy's been out there, and he'll continue to keep tabs, but he's got to work within the law as far as the property maintenance. The commercial vehicle, this particular vehicle, is under the weight where there can be any regulations from the township on it, so you can't prevent somebody from parking there. Short of, we could put in no parking on a residential street, but realize as soon as we do that, it applies to everybody. So, you know, it's now you might get other neighbors upset that have visitors coming over, and we put up no parking, and they don't have enough room in their driveway. Barking dogs and dogs at loose, call the dog warden. You know, that's what you gotta do. The dog warden will take care of it. It's a county service that we're paying for. This gentleman did have the dog barking in the background, so I could hear it, which he says is, and I can feel for him. That's a frustrating thing when that happens and people leave their animals out for extended period of time and the animals, for whatever reason, barking. And dogs at loose, which he indicated, this dog, he said they generally keep it in the house. He believes because they know it's vicious, but sometimes a dog gets out. Well, that's definitely a call to the dog warden. That's not something that the township can take care of as far as dogs at large. But we do have the resolutions in place for barking dogs, and so between the sheriff's department and the dog warden, they can take care of that. But again, when somebody doesn't leave their name and phone number, you can't get back to them. So I'm just going to encourage him to, next time, leave your name and phone number, and the best is to fill out a written complaint. They are on the township website. There's always copies down here in the bulletin board if you don't have access to the internet, where you can get a copy and fill it out. And then we'll get it actually down on the agenda with the complaints so that we can follow up on it, make sure that it's addressed. As far as children urinating in a yard, I don't know who's gonna touch that one. So it's, may not like it, but, you know, that's where parents have to explain to their kids what's important, what's acceptable and what's not. Maybe they're trying to save on their sewer bill, I don't know. But that's it for complaints. We'll just move on. For the other items on here that are assigned specific responsibility, is there anything for David or Denny you need to bring up?
No, I have nothing to update at this time.
I will say one thing on the solid waste grant funding. There is a new solid waste director, Dave Blevins, for the county. And he was at the last Lorraine County Township Association meeting. When he gave his presentation, he did address the complaint I've made in the past about the process for their solid waste grant funding, that needs to be streamlined. Right now it's too cumbersome, particularly that situation of you can't begin any expenditure. Even though you're approved for the grant, you can't begin an expenditure or a project till after an MOU was signed that used to come from the Board of Commissioners, which would come so late in the year. So here we are in late fall before we get an MOU with 3/4 of the year gone, which is ridiculous. So he said they're going to look at that and streamline that to make it a lot easier, and I have every confidence that they will. But I just wanted to point that out. Okay, our next regularly scheduled meeting will be Tuesday, April 13th, at 7 p.m. I don't know is there any need for a work session at this time?
No, I have none.
Okay. I am, just so you're aware, Kevin, I'll try and do it in the morning. It depends how the county goes with this. I really want to see if they can start working with us to help as far as the contacting people here for the next project, because that's going to be a lot of work. You know, and we can obviously send stuff through the mail, but you know what the response many times is. You know, some people will respond, but you're going to get others that, you know, it looks like junk mail to them and it gets tossed. Okay. Any audience concerns, questions? Any need for an executive session?
No, sir.
Okay. Then can I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second.
Yuri,
Yes.
Abraham,
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes.